I'm Jennifer Matos with the Noah Webster House and West Hartford Historical Society, and I'm bringing you the 45th episode of the Armchair Tour of West Hartford history. I'm standing here on Farmington Avenue near the corner of Dover Road in front of a beautiful Catholic church known as St. Thomas the Apostle. Probably most of you have traveled past this church at some point, but do you know anything about it? Well, I'm here to help. So St. Thomas the Apostle actually got its start in a very small wooden building that was on the corner of Boulevard and Quaker Lane. The small church had been built by 28 men from the parish, and it was bankrolled by a parishioner named Thomas Eckert. Father John Callahan, who was the church's first pastor, decided to name the church after the saint that bore Mr. Eckert's name. Hence, the church became known as St. Thomas the Apostle, and the first Sunday Masses were held in that small wooden building on November 14th, 1920. St. Thomas the Apostle Parish was established to serve families living north of Elmwood, and these were families, Catholic families, who had previously attended either St. Joseph Cathedral or Our Lady of Sorrows in Hartford. Father Callahan, who later became Monsignor Callahan, and the title of Monsignor, as a side note, in the Roman Catholic Church signifies a priest who has distinguished himself and has been honored by the Pope for his service to the church. So Monsignor Callahan lived in a stucco house on Boulevard opposite of Jessamine Street. And this area of West Hartford was really seeing a lot of growth in the early 20th century. So by the 1920s, there were a lot of houses being built in that neighborhood, a lot of them 2- and 3-family. And it was really a time when West Hartford was transforming from kind of a sleepy rural farming community to the bustling suburb that we think of today. The parishioners of St. Thomas the Apostle were there to kind of see this change. So according to church lore, one peaceful Sunday morning during Mass, the congregation was surprised when a cow stuck her head through the window, and much to the delight of the children in the congregation. To raise funds, parishioners often held lawn parties. The first lawn party was hosted by the Sullivan family on Park Road, and among live raffle items were 2 chickens and a goat. Church members also cooked dinners for the congregation, so it would be a homemade dinner for 75 cents for adults and 50 cents for children. So as the population of West Hartford continued to grow, the parish continued to grow, and in 1923, Monsignor Callahan was able to purchase land at the corner of Dover Road and Farmington Avenue, which is where I'm standing today. Monsignor Callahan thought that this new location would be more accessible to parishioners, and certainly he was right. The trolley line ran right along here on Farmington Avenue from West Hartford Center to downtown Hartford. To begin construction right away, the St. Thomas Parish decided to conduct the building of their new church in 2 phases. So the first phase would be to complete a basement project, and they would, once that was built, they would hold their church services in the basement until enough money was raised for the second part of the construction. So construction began on what was known as the basement church in 1923, and it was completed 3 years later. There was a dedication ceremony held on November 7th, 1926. Now, Monsignor Callahan believed that good stewardship required minimal debt, and he was unwilling to finish the project until the church was on solid financial footing. So even though architectural plans of the upper church, which had been designed by John J. McMahon, had been completed in 1926, the second phase of construction of what was to be known as the upper church was not completed until 1951. Certainly the Great Depression from 1929 to 1933, and then World War II from 1941 to 45 contributed to the delay. Another factor in the delay was that St. Thomas the Apostle engaged in creating a Catholic elementary school. So West Hartford's growing Catholic population necessitated a school. In 1935, the parishioners of St. Thomas the Apostle saw the need for an alternative to the public education for their children. And Monsignor Callahan believed that a good Catholic education was to be valued more than a new upper church. So they actually diverted funds from the upper church project towards the creation of St. Thomas the Apostle Elementary School. And that is located behind the church at 25 Dover Road. The cornerstone was laid in 1937, and again, the building was designed by architect John J. McMahon. During construction, the town of West Hartford actually made some adjustments to Dover Road to include a little bend that helped accommodate St. Thomas the Apostle School buildings. And so if you were ever driving down Dover Road and wondering why there's this little jut in the road, it's because of St. Thomas the Apostle School. The school was originally staffed by the Sisters of Mercy and served grades 1 through 3. Later, in 1948, the Ursuline Sisters expanded the offerings to serve students from 1st through 8th grade. Construction of the upper church finally began in 1951, based again on John J. McMahon's original design. The total cost of the project was about $500,000, and the first Mass was held in the building in September of 1951. McMahon's design was Gothic in style and features beautiful stained glass windows. The largest is a 14 by 22 foot stained glass window above the choir loft, which is right above the church entrance, and this was donated by the St. Thomas the Apostle Women's Club. The Women's Club had actually been formed in 1935, and it remains the longest functioning volunteer group in the parish. Their theme is love and service. So, for example, during World War II, the ladies sewed pajamas for wounded soldiers and collected clothing for war-torn, liberated countries. In the 1960s, the club raised funds for scholarships for young women who were entering St. Joseph College. Inside the building, the main altar is made of white marble, supported by a pedestal of red marble. Behind the altar is a sculptured crucifixion group with life-size figures that were made of marble in Italy. The facade, which is the most noticeable thing you'll see as you drive by, is red. It is covered with a special grade red-faced brick, supported by weight-bearing cinder block trimmed with long meadow brownstones. And there are 3 front entrances, which are symbolic of the Trinity. In 1954, after 34 years of service, Monsignor Callahan passed away. Monsignor Raymond LaFontaine was installed as the new guardian and pastor. That same year saw the construction of the present-day rectory building on the west side of the church on Farmington Avenue. In 1955, an apartment house at 22 Robin Road was converted into a convent for the Ursuline sisters who taught at the school. And the St. Thomas the Apostle Elementary School was remodeled in the 1950s. 2 wings were added to make space for a total of 16 classrooms. Finally, a new steeple was added to the church in 1957 to bring the upper church to its current state of completion. Architecturally, St. Thomas the Apostle Church is a beautiful building. However, the real beauty of the church lies within the people who make up the parish. For the past 100 years, the people of St. Thomas the Apostle Church have filled the community with love, hope, faith, family, seeking to make a positive difference by honoring the dignity and value of each person and celebrating diversity. So I hope you learned something new about this 100-year-old congregation that sits here on the corner of Farmington Ave and Dover Road. We'll see you next week.